Hello, everybody. It's been a long time since I've had Dave on here on the Audiomo podcast, and I thought that today would be a good day. Well, actually, Dave thought that it would be a good day. We've both been so busy, but it'd be good to catch up. I want his opinion on something that I haven't exactly informed him of yet, so it's going to be his raw reaction to it. Before we get started, though, how you doing, Dave?
Oh, pretty good. It's good to be back. Obviously, we both had a bunch of stuff going on, so it's good to be able to take a Sunday night and just sit down and chat with you.
Isn't it strange how it feels like we used to have all the free time in the world, and nowadays, it's just so few and far in between, and there's always something going on.
Yeah, I just look back to the times in my life where I thought I was busy, and I'm like, yeah, oh yeah. Remember when you, can you imagine those days when you were done with work and you were like, I have from 5 until I go to sleep to do whatever I want.
Not enough time.
And yeah. Now it's like, okay, I have from when Nora goes to sleep until I go to sleep, which is 2 hours to do whatever I want. So yeah.
But yeah, no, I wanted to talk to you about something because I thought this is really funny to me. I have been playing a lot of the digital stuff. All right. And I have decided when I was doing some tracking, I'm not the biggest fan of the Mesa Boogie, actually recording it. And I think you would like it. It'd be perfect for you. If you can get down here, I think you'd love this amp. But that's neither here nor there. So the point of it being, I put the amp up for sale, and I was looking for something a little bit different, a little bit more on the cutty and brighty side, more British sounding. I started to look around at the Marshall Studio Vintage. Now, I log into Tolman every day just to check my little credit thing because I get a few pennies for every sale. And I was like, well, if I buy something from them, it'll be severely discounted, worthwhile. The Studio Vintage, which is a $2,000 amp if you buy it from Sweetwater. I think it's $1949. Okay? How much is it at Tolman?
I mean, based on the question, I'm gonna guess significantly less.
Well, just give me a ballpark. Just give me a rough guess.
I don't know. For a Marshall, I'm gonna say 1650.
Okay, now this is a made in the UK amp. Keep this in mind. This is not an import amp. $777, Dave.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah, so I was a little off. Yeah.
So hear me out. So I see this on Tolman, and my head starts going wait, what? How is this a thing? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. You read the product description. It says you're going to need a power inverter because it's routed for European wiring. So it's 220 or 230, and ours is 110. If I bought the best power inverter on Sweetwater, I think it's $300. Because it's under $800 total worth of product, because it doesn't include shipping when you get the import taxes, I wouldn't have to pay an import tax. So I would just pay $777 plus the shipping, no tax. The VAT's already included in it. And then I just buy the power inverter. I get literally the same amp for half the price. What? First of all, okay, so here's my questions here. This is just one example. We could talk about guitars because Gibson, as we just looked up before we started this podcast, is also significantly cheaper if you buy it overseas. First, why aren't more people doing this? First of all. Second of all, how many people even know about this? And third of all, why do you think there is such a price disparity?
I mean, so the price disparity. I mean, at least with the amp, you can be it's overseas, right? And it's coming from overseas. So maybe we're losing some on shipping, but you doing a Gibson to Tolman and then back to the US for less than, it would be to buy it from Sweetwater. So I don't know, man. I feel like the second I start to grasp some idea of economy, I immediately also lose it. But the only thing I can say is that I feel like the more I talk about Tolman around people, the more I realize that people don't know Tolman in the U.S. And really, that's the only thing that Sweetwater's got going for him right now, in terms of the price comparison stuff, right? It's just I say Tolman and people go, huh? And then you have to be it's Guitar Center for the other side of the world. They've got their own house brands and all this, or whatever. So clearly, that's really the only thing that's stopping the majority of people doing it. But I mean, to be honest with you, I had no idea that the price differences were this big. I'm going to check everything I go buy now,
Okay, so for example, you know of a shop that more people would know about than Tolman in the United States. That's Anderton's. Because the average guitar player has at some point, if they've browsed YouTube, they've been to Anderton's. Okay, I'm on their website right now. The Silver Jubilee, which falls into the same price category, 1949. If you buy it at Sweetwater, $879. But that's a combo. That's not the head. The head is $769.
I mean, it's too nuts, right? I mean, I think that's maybe part of it too, right? Like, I would never think that I would think like maybe a couple $100 difference in the shipping would probably like offset it, right? I would never be like, okay, well maybe it's half price on a different website. Like, that's completely insane. I'll be honest with you, I still think I probably wouldn't want to deal with the power issues, like, just because even if you do get a really nice inverter and it's still less, and I don't know, there would be part of me that would always be worried about it in the chain of having like, oh yeah, I'm going through an inverter into the amp or whatever. Guitar though, I mean, who cares? Whatever. I would buy it from Thomann and pay the $80 and wait a couple of weeks or whatever to get that kind of price off.
How much profit margin is there? And could you ever, in your right mind, imagine paying full price for a Marshall now? Because I think one of the DSL, like the DSL 40 that's made in Vietnam, is like $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we always knew there was the Marshall tax, right? Like, everybody's aware of it. I didn't think no, I mean, what you're talking about, literally 100% price difference, right? So that means that, you know, if they're just doing, you know, basics on it, right? Like, what do you think, 20-30% profit margin that Tolman's getting, right? So that means Sweetwater's getting 120 to 130% profit margin on it. Like, no, yeah, I don't know, man, that's crazy.
So a few weeks ago, I think actually the last time that we talked about the Elk. And in case anybody who does not regularly follow this is like, what the hell is the Elk? The Elk is an interface that bandmates can each have to connect on dedicated servers and have latency-free practice. Dave was all excited to tell me about it, and he had barely tested it when he had told me, but now he has tested it quite a bit. So, what's your update?
So, we did our first practice with it, and the way we had set up was me and my drummer in the room here, and our bass player on his Elk in Massachusetts, right? So I'm in Connecticut, you know, probably about 130 miles away. I only say that because it turns out the distance is actually kind of a big limiting factor in the Elk, right? So I'm part of their Discord, and I've been watching a bunch of back and forth between people, and it seems like there's some upper limits around the, 500 mile-ish area, right? So like, if your dream is to jam with your buddy in Australia and you're in the US, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But that being said, I think it's really kind of dependent on the internet. So it's possible it could happen at some point. But anyway, so that first practice went pretty well, right? But, Matt, the drummer, was in the room with me. He was playing bass, over it. We were getting a little bit of latency here and there, but it wasn't too bad, right? It was certainly enough for us to practice with. And we already played with headphones in. So, it wasn't a big learning curve, right? So obviously that went well. My drummer's sold. So he immediately goes and buys one, gets it in a couple weeks later, and we hook it up, and me and my drummer he lives about 20 minutes away from me, right? So he's, 20 miles-ish, right? And he gets on, he starts playing drums, I'm playing to him, and I'm immediately off from him, right? We've got some latency back and forth, having some issues with it. It's, he's like, oh, well, this will work if I turn you guys completely off and I'm just playing. And I'm like, well, what's the point then, right? You're just playing to yourself. So unfortunately, I spent a day or two wiring Ethernet all the way from my modem across the house into the studio here. So before, I was going off of a mesh point, which I think may have been the problem. And so we are waiting to find out if the Ethernet update makes a big difference. Also upgraded my internet, which turns out Comcast was fucking me out of $30 a month for some TV that I wasn't watching anyway. So that worked out, but now I'm on gigabit internet, so hopefully that'll make a difference too. But either way, I'm at a tentative right now, and I feel like it's important to bring up because I'm seeing a lot of like reviews on it and people talking about it. Not so much reviews, but videos, and I see people talking about it, especially in the Discord, who seem to be doing really well with it, right? And I'm not sure if it's that our bar is really high and then I'm like, I can tell if there's a little bit of latency and some people can't, or if we're experiencing a bad version of whatever's going on, right? But right now I would hold off a little bit and kind of like maybe let things kind of update a little bit more as they go if you're thinking about buying the Elk. I would also say that from what I'm seeing in the Discord, lots of people seem to be buying it like looking for other musicians to jam with. And that doesn't seem to, like, there's no community around this yet, right? So if, like, I had this guy who just like straight up messaged me in the middle of the night and he was just like, hey dude, you want to jam? I'm like, I don't, like, what are you like, what are you doing? Like, so like, I think there's some kinks that need to get worked out, and like some like sort of the way the product needs to get worked out too, right? Like for us, it's like all of the band members bought one, we're going to practice together. That's totally fine. Like if you're out here going like, oh, this is just going to open up my ability to jam with anybody anywhere, like we got a little while before we're getting there, right? And again, I want to be very clear that it's possible it's my internet that's the issue, but we still haven't gotten it to work flawlessly yet. And I'm excited to see if it will, because I think it's really great, like the idea, just because it makes us be able to practice more. But it hasn't gone super smoothly yet. Other than the first time where the latency was just between, us in the room and our bass player, where it wasn't really that big of a deal, So, yeah, that's kind of my Elk update. Not the best update, but one I think is important to talk about if anybody's really considering getting one.
I want to say, Dave, I'm really proud of you right now. The reason I say that is because you could have come out slamming it. And based on what you just said, I'm very surprised you didn't. However, I think that is really important information, because I did click on a few more videos since, and everybody has had nothing but glowing things to say. And I feel like no matter what the product is, if it's something new like that and it's a newer company, there's two trains of thought as to why that is. The first of it is just like you don't want to say anything bad about the new company because, you don't want to hurt them. But then the second is just like you want to be like on board with it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like really the quad cortex suffered from that. Like everybody except for like one or two people initially were saying like this is like the next coming of Christ. And that kind of scared me a little bit. So hearing something a little bit more realistic, perhaps, or at least realistic, maybe it has to do with the fact that, one thing to consider here, Dave, maybe a lot of the people that are using it are not in America. So their server issues, I'm not exactly sure how it works. If there's like a mother server where it hits to and then it triggers back and forth, or if it's just peer to peer, but that wouldn't make any sense actually.
I'm not really super sure how it works either. I have seen a healthy collection, it seems like, of people in the US and outside. In the Discord, it's broken up by general location, because the idea would be like, so there's like a North America East, North America West, South, and North, right? And then I can hop in the Discord and be like, I'm available to jam or whatever, and theoretically anybody who answered within North America East would be probably close enough with me for it to be a good experience, right? But to your point, like, I agree, mostly because, and I am kind of being tentative about it because I do want it to work. I want it to be successful. I really like the idea. I hope it does work. And at this point, I want to rule out as much as possible that it's me before I say that this thing isn't working, right? And, so I thought the internet was going to be good enough off the mesh because I get pretty good speeds up here, but maybe it's just that I have to be directly tied in, and that was going to be a bitch to do, which is why I didn't want to do it. So we ended up, doing all the wiring through the basement and through the walls and all that stuff, or whatever, just to get an Ethernet cable over here. So this is my last ditch effort to make it work. I'll be honest with you, if it doesn't after this, I'll come out with my full on review of it, no holds barred or whatever, and I absolutely will be returning it because it is an expensive little device for it to not do anything, and I don't need anything else out of it if it doesn't work, right? So that being said, again, I just want to be very clear at this point, it may be me, and as soon as I rule that out, then I'll give a kind of final verdict on that. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Fair enough. Let me piggyback off that real quick. Has there ever been a company in your experience where you've had more than one of their products and you've had nothing but problems with them? Now, it doesn't matter if it's just guitar, it could be pro audio or anything like that.
Probably PreSonus. But their value proposition is just that it's always so cheap to get into something, like, I don't know, their tech versus their price point is like, so, like, I was just talking about this the other day with like AVB networking. You've seen stuff about that, like with all, obviously doing stuff over Ethernet or whatever. Like they're the lowest cost possible to go into AVB networking, right? There's like, you can buy a PreSonus machine that's like $500 that'll do AVB, and like the next one up is like $3,000, right? So it's like, I don't know. Like, I keep buying PreSonus products because I want whatever that new tech is, and I'm willing to deal with all of the issues that come along with owning a PreSonus product. I've had like 4 of their interfaces over the years, and they've always been such crap. But they were so cheap, and I was getting so much out of them that it was like kind of worth it. I don't know. I don't know if that's a best answer, but they're the most frustrating brand that I will continuously buy from.
That's interesting. I think it's super fitting that Fender bought them after that glowing review. Because it falls right in line with a lot of modern Fender quality.
Absolutely.
I gotta take. I'm just like you. I take my digs where I see them. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Let's get to something positive and wrap this up. You are very close to being done with this album. So let me know where are we at right here. What's our timetable? Yeah,
so we just started the PR campaign with the PR group. So they're doing all the workup stuff. Like we're doing some interviews and things like that. And the first single drops at the end of the month. I believe it's the 26th, but I'm gonna double check. And then there's a second single that drops about a month after, and then the album drops November 4th. So that's the big one. Yeah, man, I'm pretty excited about it. It's a bunch of work, but it's been fun to like start doing some stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I think I don't know if anybody follows the band. If you don't, the band's called Junro. You can go check it out on all the socials. We just started posting stuff again. Like we haven't posted shit in like 2 years, so that was kind of exciting. I had to go through and go update all the websites and all the pictures and stuff because, obviously we're a 3-piece now, and we used to be a 4-piece. So there was a member that had to be. We had to move all the pictures and pretend, he's not there anymore.
They didn't exist. That's terrible.
But yeah, so that's what's going on with us. It's a lot of clerical shit right now, which isn't the most fun, but we are like just kind of getting all the ducks in a row, and like we had to do promo shots and all that junk, all the like I am excited. I got to work out merch this week, which is fun. I like working out merch. Doing t-shirts and stuff. I think that's cool, but I'm a designer, so
yeah, well, I'm stupid. I've had so many people say, why don't you make an Audiomo t-shirt? I'll buy it, just make it. And I'm like, I don't want to do merch. That seems like something I don't want to do. Like,
all right, no. Well, I'll do some merch for you because I can come up with an Audiomo t-shirt for you.
No, it's not even my point. It's just like, I don't know. I don't find fun in that stuff. I know it's stupid of me. It's very stupid of me. There's a lot of like mistakes, quote unquote, that I make while doing this, but it's just, I don't know. I do this for fun. You know what I mean? But I get the necessary evil part. Sure. And if you want to be successful, whether it's your band or you want to be, who's a gigantic YouTuber that can play guitar? Like Robert Baker, he could play.
Yeah, sure.
Like if you want to be Robert Baker or Uncle Ben Eller, if you want to be like them, you got to do all this other shit to really get your ducks in a row. Or what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I think it's cool when you get to make a bunch of shirts and then they sit in your garage, and then like when you don't have anything clean to wear, you could just wear your own shirt. Like lots of YouTubers do that. Have you ever seen Linus Tech Tips? He's never not wearing an LTT shirt, right? Like, I mean, it's just a way to cover your wardrobe for the rest of time.
Well, he makes enough money on his YouTube to probably pay the rent for a house that is just filled with merchandise by itself in a very, very affluent neighborhood. So
yeah, actually, he's they make a lot of money on LTT store merch. So
I know, I'm not saying that it's not moving. I'm saying it's a continuous in and out. That's what I'm saying. But they have the money is my point. They're rich. So I don't exactly fall into that category. I'll be lucky if I can print 30 shirts.
We'll get you one shirt. That you.
I have one shirt and I wear it.
I meant one shirt that you can sell to the one fan who was asking about the shirt.
All right, we'll auction it off.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll donate to charity.
One of one, and I'll give it to something that fights against all these killer toads that kill the poor innocent dogs down here. That'd be a good cause.
That's a good cause. Yeah.
All right, Dave. I'm exhausted. We just went. It was funny because we started the call before we actually hit the record button, talking about the pricing of this stuff. I find it so baffling, but I mean that is what it is. I can't look at Marshall amps the same way, but I love them. They're not a company that I hate. Have we ever said anything bad about them actually?
I may have gotten a jab in talking about Slash at some point, but.
Well, he doesn't count. You hate... Yeah, never mind. I meant the brand, not people that play the brand.
Yeah, but didn't he have his face on one of them at one point? I thought he had a Slash Marshall.
He's had his face on everything and numerous people, I assume, as well.
Yes, yeah,
I mean, that guy is... Yeah, he's had a successful, happy...
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I know. I just want new Guitar Heroes. That's really all it is. I just want new Guitar Heroes. I want to stop talking about Slash. All right,
well, start listening to John Mayer for real, and we'll talk about John Mayer.
I do. I like John Mayer quite a bit. And I do think he's done good things for that space. So I'll give you that. My main dig with Slash is that everybody else is also still talking about him. Stop talking about Slash. He hasn't done anything in a long time.
Let people like what they like. You're such a hater. Let them like what they like. I hate the SG more than life itself. I don't begrudge people that play it. Just live and let live, my friend. Live and let live.
I'll try.
Anything you want to say wrapping this up?
No, we covered it all.
God bless you if you listen to this. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.